What up, what up, what up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is your girl, Tahira, Mother of the Ages. I am your supernatural quantum healer. I am the author of The Great Expansion, a cosmic Bible for the ages. I specialize in quantum healing, past life regression, quantum telekinetic healing, where I help you really remove soul tears, soul scars, ancestral trauma, generational curses, black magic curses, and so much more, guys. Details are down below. If you'd like to book a session, just email instructions number 4 humanity@gmail.com. Guys, let go. Let's jump right into this video today. Lots to unpack here, guys. We're going to talk about the algorithm. And I took some notes here of what Spirit was telling me about the algorithm, how the algorithm controls the minds of the masses and how we are creating a AI slave race. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about who is the algorithm? What is the algorithm? Who's behind the algorithm? We're going to talk about the energy I've been channeling since the election. We're moving into this underbelly energy. And what all does that truly mean, guys? So the first thing I want to say about this algorithm. So the algorithm is created to support humanity's choice because the algorithm is the one who chooses it. The algorithm was created to support humanity's choice because the algorithm is the one who chooses it. Okay? To be or not to be, that is the question. And I was tapping into the energy of the algorithm that controls the masses, minds of the masses, that controls the world, that creates an illusionary choice. When I was channeling it, I was getting the slogan, to be or not to be, that is the question. This is the energy of the algorithm. This is the statement that the algorithm was created on. To be or not to be something or to be nothing. So already the algorithm is created to add things, bring things into physicality, and to also take things away. Stay with me. You have to know this. So this is what the algorithm asks itself, right? Then once it does that, it then shifts throughout the multiple timelines and dimensions, space-time. And then that will line up with the collective thought body. Shifts through it, and it finds what will match up with the collective thought. Then it knows which timeline to implant its frequency codes. This is how the algorithm works. And I'm going to tell you what they're going to be using this algorithm for. No pun intended. You have to know social media was a beta test. And what was it beta testing? Socialism. Social media was a beta test to try out socialism, especially here in America. What might it look like if this algorithm gives the individuals an illusionary choice of free speech, which is not so free anymore? Thank you, Source. Free speech is not free. Free speech is for the elites. And I think we all know what I mean by that. I'll leave that there. Free speech is not for the everyday man anymore because humanity has given that up a long time ago. We've agreed with the algorithm. Because when the algorithm started to check certain content creators, social media creators, the content creators did not stand for free will, so it was extracted. And the collective soul has agreed that free will is only for the elites. We've actually entered into an implied contract by not standing up, not standing on business. So I think we know when we see the people in our society that are allowed to speak freely and nothing ever happens is because the free will is not free. You have to have money now, currency, to use the will of the people. Stay with me. So the social media the algorithm was testing out socialism. We could give the people an illusionary voice, an illusionary business, and let's see how that runs. But what the people don't understand, who's the algorithm? The people are the algorithm. Sounds simple, right? Who's the algorithm? The people's voice, the people's energy, vibration, and frequency is the algorithm. So if the people have given up the free speech, free will, then the algorithm once again lines up to that particular point in time. And now it implants its frequency to now expand and magnify that timeline. And then this is how we are shifted to a whole nother timeline. But in truth, who is shifting it? The collective soul body. Us, the collective, is the algorithm. There are so many people who are the algorithm's bots. And this became so apparent this week. There's so many people that reacted to the algorithm. And most did not react in love because remember, the algorithm gives us a choice to be or not to be. That's the question. Some people chose the to be, the life timeline, and some people chose the not to be, the lower frequency timeline, which is death, right? It's not real. Most people have decided to become bots of the algorithm. And what I mean by that is most people now, not just on social media, because the algorithm is in the corporations and what the algorithm uses or abuses, rather, channeling this morning, the algorithm uses devices. And then I wanted to say electronics, but I accidentally wrote election. That's a subconscious split. So slip, rather. So the algorithm uses devices. Your electronics is what the algorithm is using. So even if you are not on social media, you are still part of the algorithm. Your energy is going into it because it's coming through your devices, through your computers, your home computers, your work computers, your smartphone, the cell towers, every single thing. So there's no way to not participate in the algorithm unless you just keep yourself away from, you got to be Amish girl, all the electronics and technology, right? So that's what it uses. That is what it uses. So we're all part of it. Now here's the split. Here's where we are. Here's the deep part of when the AI creates the slave race. So starts with the algorithm to be or not to be. Then how you react, you get siphoned into one pool of people or the other. I saw a huge takedown in the spirit when the election came because this thing is global. You have to know this was a global election. I'm going to get there in a moment. This was absolute global. This was a global selection election. But people really showed their energy this week and where they stand. And most people were hyper focused on this event that happened, this ritual that happened earlier this week or last week. When did it happen? Sometime this week. That the algorithm said, perfect. Now we know what to feed to them. Now we know how to treat them. Now we know how to speak to them. We are the algorithm. We're training the algorithm. The algorithm that is us, that we are training, is not only in control of the minds of the masses, but also is in charge of creating the AI slave race. And so all of that energy and all the people who poured their energy into that system, it all got collected, siphoned. So now the algorithm knows what to give to you. And if you dare do a video and you do not include what the algorithm has accepted now to be the people's choice, the algorithm will punish you. It will hide your content, it will hide your video, and it will punish you because you went against the algorithm. The algorithm is now the God. I was talking about this last year, it may have even been 2 years ago, how the God that a lot of people are praying to, it's more like a computer system. Most people in this lifetime will never know who source is. They will only know God through the eyes of the algorithm. Your religions are part of the eyes of the algorithm too. They will only know it through the eyes of the algorithm. So lots of bots, lots of algorithm bots were out in comments on, social media all week, punishing the masses that refuse to go with the algorithm. And so now I'm going to shift the topic and talk about the global selection. So the algorithm has spoken and has given the people what the people prayed for. The algorithm has given them their selection in this fight, their selection, and give it to them. And so now what the algorithm does, it goes in, knows now what timeline to go in and tinker with. And so last night I had a beautiful conversation over Zoom with some of my sisters here that I work with. And Angela was asking me, she was like, hey, so what do you think about all of those psychics that were predicting that Kamala would win? And they saw they had a whole story and timeline of how she would win and what she would do. And it was just so detailed. She's like, what do you think about that? And these were not people that were like, back alley psychics. These were really prominent people who are seers. She's like, what do you think about that? What do you think that was all about? Then Spirit said they are attacking psychic science. Spirit said there is an attack on psychic science. So you have to think about it, guys. The algorithm is controlling everyone. If you look at a mouse, like if you play this game, it's like Mousetrap, and it has all these, not Mousetrap, but it has all these mazes. This is what is like the algorithm. We're in the maze. The algorithm is leading the masses to the end of the game that it already has predetermined where that end is. There is no real choice, really, because in the maze, there is one way in, perceived one way in, and one perceived way out. And the algorithm now, once you agree to it, you feed into the mainstream system. It collects that and it leads you out the perceived exit, right? This is how you get trapped and recycled back into the ones that run this whole simulation, the archons, the galactic, lower dimensional councils that run this. This is how you get ciphered back into their game. But see, for the seers, we know that there is another way out. We know we can create wormholes in their system, which is when we start to see and view and feel. Our consciousness is creating a way out. They know that. They know that we can see through their game, above their game, from a bird's eye view, and even underneath their game to the underbelly, which we're going to talk about. This is a season we're going into it, the underbelly. What's going to happen when the underbelly is exposed? What's going to come out of that? So they want to blot out the eye. They want to basically put a tear in the psychic sciences so that you lose faith in it, because they know we are the only eyes and ears out of this thing. We're creating wormholes. Just as they're creating that, we're creating that too. We're creating an alternative path, and we have the sight to get out. But what they did, so when she asked me, what was that? How come those people are seeing that? Because that was a viable timeline. It was a timeline, and the algorithm has two choices: to be or not to be. It's either I'm going to bring this into physicality or I'm not. And so this socialism, social media that was set up allowed for the people to bring their grievances, bring their ideas to the forefront. And now the algorithm got to work, knowing what the true algorithm, which is us, is feeling, thinking, and wanting. And then what it does is, now that it has enough data from us, it now lines up with that timeline and it implants what it wants to implant. So the algorithm, the true algorithm, was praying for Trump in the 11th hour, although he was always going to win. There really was only one candidate. Kamala wasn't even a real candidate, but she was a viable timeline. She was not a real candidate, but it was a viable timeline. But when the true algorithm, the people, social media, the socialism, like beta testing, when they spoke, and when the other algorithm collectives, churches and organizations, and even people in the financial markets wanted this change, then the algorithm picked up on that timeline and it went into that timeline, and now it starts to implant its frequency there, and it channels that through your electronics. So now, get this, anytime you're here and you have your headphones on, you're on your smartphones, computer, work computer, home computer, you're picking up the signal of what the algorithm is feeding to you. So the algorithm is always shifting through timelines. And so I say that to say is that this is why some of those psychics and seers were seeing this timeline. And it was very detailed about everything Kamala would do. And there was very detailed. And so that was the answer that I gave to her. And they want to discredit the seers because if they can get at least, see, all these people have to do is create doubt. They never prove anything wrong. Do you notice that? All they must do is create doubt. Even that time Obama was up there making fun of people who thought that the earth was flat. He was on a world stage, and all he had to do was create some doubt, use his power and influence, his free will, which is expensive, right? Very expensive, but he can afford it. Use his free will, that's expensive, to discredit the timeline, to discredit that, so that the other people that are weaker in the algorithm that are now the algorithm bots, the ones who just follow the algorithm blindly, these non-playable characters, they will pick up on that signal and now discredit any knowledge about flat Earth. It's the same thing here. So this is what's going on. And it's why some of those seers actually saw this timeline. Timeline was real. Kamala, however, was not. She was never real. She was never real. Real people have this soul essence when they speak. They speak in a way where, like, the words that they say, it has a resonance. It hits your soul. She never hit the soul. She never hit the soul of the people. So what happened was the algorithm switched and then went into the timeline where the algorithm, the people were, and magnified that and broadcasted that frequency out. So even if you have your devices and you're not using them, even if you're sleeping and these devices are on, hell, really, even if they ain't on, they're still emitting frequencies to you because you have the Wi-Fi in your house anyway. So unless you unplug everything, you're still getting their code. So that is what is happening. And the psychic sciences are under attacks. If they just discredit it, make you believe faith in it, you'll follow this algorithm down into the pits of hell. And speaking of that, this is the energy I'm picking up, the underbelly. So what is the energy of the aftermath? The underbelly is like a vulnerable part, right? And it's something that is secret, right? And hidden. When we think about that, we probably think about secret societies. This is like the underbelly. So what I see now, we're shifting into a space where the underbelly now is exposed. And there's maggots, parasites, crabs, girl, sexually transmitted diseases just popping all off out of this underbelly, right? Hold on. And the algorithm is being exposed. The true algorithm, the people, it's being exposed. So what this is, guys, we are in a cleansing and purification time. So I wrote something here which I think is very important. I might save that. But this underbelly energy is going back to cleanse out a lot of those things that humanity did not get a chance to fully clear. There's racism in this underbelly. There's prejudice in this underbelly. There's classism in this underbelly. There's capitalism in this underbelly. There's a collage of things that we may have voted for, but we never agreed on. This is what is being exposed now. So now that we're moving into the energy of releasing the figures, the visuals, right? Of the avatars of this algorithm experience. Now we're looking deep into the hearts of the people, of the collective. And what that is saying is we still need to look at this thing that we call racism. So I would not be surprised if there are incidents of racism being incited. I would not be surprised if we see isolated incidents of, white supremacists and kind of some things that happened in the past because humanity's not done clearing that. And that's why Trump was so instrumental to this underbelly turning over. So even guys, you guys have to zone out. So when you're trading stocks, I always say when in doubt, zone out, right? So what that truly means is we are looking at such a narrow viewpoint, right? But if we were to zone out and look at the entire picture, so we can see what's happening now, and then we can see over here another timeline, and over here what's happening in another dimension, and then we can see down here what happens, down the lower realms, and then we can see and get a clear picture. So when we zone out of this thing, we really see that Trump was really the only person that could turn this belly over so that we could see what we still need to heal from. There's a lot of darkness, a dark energy that I'm looking at because it has not been dealt with yet. We've voted on it, but we have not yet agreed. The algorithm has not yet agreed. So what the algorithm is doing, it's purposefully fine-tuning itself for what will happen in the future. So it wants to expose the underbelly so it now gets more data. So it's not going to be in the future where you're going to be voting on policy. The algorithm is already going to know. So we are looking at that. We get a chance to really shape the algorithm, but we can't let the algorithm shape us and fool us, right? And unfortunately, most people have become bots of the algorithm where they are controlled indefinitely. If the algorithm says, say this word or this line or this phrase, or choose this person, listen to this music, eat this food, do this activity, travel to this location, wear these shoes, then that's what they do. And they will follow it blindly to their own demise. But the people who really understand that we are the creators of the algorithm, we can actually flip the script, right? Because yes, will they go into the timeline? Even if it's something good that we choose, let's eradicate racism. Let's eradicate where there's homelessness and children that can't eat. We put our collective force behind that. We could eradicate that. But here's the thing, the algorithm will now find that timeline, go in and manipulate it with this frequency. So we have to be a step ahead. So if humanity is saying that we want to look at these things and eradicate it, yes, maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago wasn't the time for it to fully dissolve. But now we have the capacity, we've reached the capacity to really be in that energy of completely dissolving these things in our society. And if we stand on that, then we know we must also protect it in the astrals. We must protect it in frequency. We have the power to emit a frequency also. There's a frequency that we hold that we can be channeled through the electronics as well. It's not just for them, but if you're not aware that you can emit a frequency, if you're not aware of the psychic sciences, right, which is the ability to use telepathy and move energy, move frequencies, hold vibrations, change frequencies, expand frequencies, expand consciousness, expand space-time, collapse space-time, right? If you're not aware of that, then you will just be feeding the algorithm a tool that will eventually lead humanity into a burning building. And what the timeline that was supposed to be good will be in planet with their demonic frequency. So that's what I want to say about that. And now we must understand, guys, that what we saw here was a global election, right? This was a absolute global election. If you look around the world, the whole world responded. The stock market responded, instantly responded. The Abrahamic religions responded. The Whether it be good or bad, they all responded. Different world leaders responded. Different policies are being enacted in other countries because they have all responded to this. This was a global election because the algorithm of the future, this is why it wants all of this data, because in the future, there will be no need to sit in front of a judge, no need to have a waiter take your order, no need to have meetings at work. The algorithm is already going to know what side you have chosen because we are moving into a global reform, one world order, global reform, global council. This was an election for a global council. So it doesn't matter who wins because it is a global council made of elites. And this is where we are. Not headed, it's where we are. You may never know that you are being controlled by a global. It's like, you know, you have like a basket of currencies that you can use in certain countries. They may take different currencies. This is where we are. We have a basket of leaders, of world leaders that are all running things. So this is who is going to, from this side of the world, who's going to be part of this global council that's being formed, right? Because in the future, the algorithm will support that. And in the future, the algorithm will have all the information that it needs. It will not need us to actually feed into it. If it decides to keep us around to feed into it, it will. If it decides to keep us around, it's not going to be the ones that have chosen to walk the authentic path. It's going to be the ones who are now part of the AI slave race. And so no matter what the algorithm picks up, it's going to be good for the timeline where man merges with machine, if you know what I mean, because that's really where we're heading. Right now, there is a little bit of perceived freedoms in this algorithm, but as we really fine tune this thing, and the more information we feed into it as the collective, the less and less it will actually need the sole residence because most people have bought into the ways of the algorithm completely. They have lost themselves. They're just algorithm bots. And when there's more of the algorithm bots, which there may already be, there's no need to actually talk to the ones that really have their own soul essence, you know? And so that's just kind of what I see. And, I think for now, I'm going to leave this video right here and subscribe to the channel, guys. And until next time, I love you. I love you. I love you. And so it is as we walk together in divine love. Be well. Be well, guys. Bye.